everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're on episode 9 of Ace of the Diamond, Act 2, Season 2, and I'm very excited. I have been traveling the last few days, and I know the episode, as I'm recording it right now, the episode came out yesterday, but by the time I got home, by the time I got settled, I was like, I am exhausted, I am tired, there's no way. So, I was like, I'll just wait until after work tomorrow and record it then, and here we are. So, before we get started with this episode, there are a couple of comments I want to talk about. Shimoyama, over for episode 8, I had been asking who Sasaki's voice actor was, because I was like, who is Sasaki's voice actor? He's a really nice voice. His voice actor's name is apparently Zoza Sawamura. I did not know anything he's been in except he was a side character in Psycho-Pass Providence. I did see that in his IMDb and I was like, okay, I know that, but he needs to be in more things because he has an amazing voice. I was like, ooh, he has a great voice. So hopefully he gets more work in the future, but he has been in some projects, so that's good. And then Kelsey for episode 8 had some comments to talk about as well, and I wanted to bring this up for everybody in the video to voice their opinions about. In addition, Kelsey says, this is kind of an unimportant point, but I can never forget about it. In baseball, whether a run is earned or not is actually its own type of stat. I had no clue this existed. I was like, what? So this run that Ichidai gets, because it only happened because of field errors, in Sawamura's stats as a pitcher, it would be recorded as an unearned run. It wasn't earned off of skill or ability, it was earned off of error. It doesn't change anything about the score, but I always remind myself of it when I think about this because Sawamura has been throwing such a dominating game. I kind of love that. I didn't know those stats existed, but also that's kind of cool knowing that they can look back and be like, oh, well, that run, it wasn't because Sawamura's pitching was necessarily bad. It wasn't because the batter was, necessarily like hit the ball. It was because of the error of Zono. They just write the book Zono's Fault under it. So that's pretty cool. Kelsey also says, I think it's great to note that in this episode, it really showcases why a lot of pitchers would rather chase after runs over defending them. The mentality changes completely, which the episode was called Mentality of the Ace. It's so much easier to have a hope that your batters will do something and you all can get a run as long as you keep pitching well. When you're the ones in the lead by 1 run in the 4th inning, it's still a long way to go to hold on to that run, and often pitchers end up relaxing. But subconsciously, when your team is in the lead, Sawamura is still like a tiger chasing a pig, and Amahisa isn't in that state of survival anymore. Yeah, once you get that run in, you kind of like, it takes a little bit of the edge off, but sometimes you need that edge to stay on top of things. Also, the idea of Amahisa and the Ichidai team as a bunch of wild pigs and Sawamura as a tiger, Miyuki would go with that imagery. Miyuki would support that. And then finally, even in the manga, that scene where Chris clenches his hand watching Sawamura gets me. He wants to catch for him so bad. Sometimes I get conflicted on if I want Sawamura to follow Miyuki to the pros or Chris. Hear me out. Hear me out. This is my headcanon. This would be the ultimate, like, cherry on top, perfectly iced little cupcake if I could get that at the end. I want Sawamura and Miyuki to go pro, both of them, obviously. And I want them to end up on the same team, obviously, because they're the best battery. But hear me out. I think that because Miyuki graduates a year earlier, I think Miyuki goes off and gets his pro team. He ends up pitching with whoever. I don't want Miyuki and Mei, the ex, to get back with him, though, so we'll see how that goes. But then Sawamura, I want Sawamura to go on a different pro team to start with, and if he could start with Chris and be a battery with Chris, it would give the fans what they want. We've wanted to see a proper Chris and Sawamura battery, and then Chris could pass on all of his skills, talk to Sawamura, play matchmaker. And then, once Sawamura has honed in his skills and gotten to the highest level he could be, and him and Chris have satisfied the fandom's need to see them as a battery, then he goes and gets in a battery with Miyuki and they get married and whatever. So, that's my dream. That's my goal, but I would like to see both, please. But yeah, that shot of Chris clenching his hands, like, oh, I need to see Sawamura pitching to Chris. I need to see this. This needs to happen. So anyway, thank you all so much for the comments. I really appreciate reading them. I have really loved this season so far, and I'm sad we're already at episode 9, but it is what it is. So I've been off work for a little bit and I've been so excited to get to this episode. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. So we are going to start episode 9 of Ace of the Diamond. Ooh! Woo! Act 2, Season 2. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And oh my God, let's go. There was a lot of good in this episode. Oh man. There were a couple little ticky moments, and we'll talk about them because, I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm not going to hold back. But on a whole, A episode. Not A plus. There's a couple of tiny ticks, but a solid A. There are some things I'm rather curious about that to be honest, I would have to go back through. When I was reading the manga, it was available for people to read because it hasn't been translated into English all the way, except for like the one site. And now they've taken all of the fan translations down and you have to buy the English translations and whatnot. But I'm not saying that it's a scam because it's not, but I do feel as if it is a better deal when they translate the entire volumes into English as they are sold and you pay for the whole volume. I think that they charge you a little bit more per chapter and it's noticeable what they're doing. I'm just saying that. So I would personally prefer if they would sell it in the English, translation, but I get why they don't, maybe, I don't know, but whatever. But because of that, my memory is a bit fuzzier. However, we're going to talk a little bit about that because that was kind of my only hang up. That and the way that they draw running. Sometimes the way that they animate running, it just looks like this. It looks like this. It's kind of unintentionally funny, and I'm like, show, what are you doing? You have moments of this beautiful animation and beautiful fluid movement of pitching and batting, and then it's, hey. But I'm not mad at it. It's noticeable, right? And there were a couple moments that kind of gave me foreshadowing that, oh, not yet. But we're going to get to it. I'm curious what they cut out of the manga. Those of you down below that have read the manga, comment, or I just need to go and re-look at my manga reactions to know, right? Anyway, I've been trying to avoid doing that because I want to be surprised. And I don't want to accidentally look ahead and then realize what's about to happen. But I may have to go back and do that before the next episode. I don't know. I'm sure you all will comment down below what's been cut out. But here in 3, 2, 1, I want to talk about this. They did cut out that full shot of Miyuki from the manga. I'm just saying, I'm not mad though, because we did get some good shots. We really, up and down. We went from the top of the 5th to like the 7th inning, like 1, 2, 3, really quickly. And I don't think they cut a lot out. They just kind of sped through a few things, I think, to kind of get it back to where they ended it at a weird spot, right? They ended it at a weird spot, which I'm not complaining about it. It was like, we're giving you the foreshadowing that Amahisa's pitching is starting to slacken up a little bit. Like the whole thing about the pitcher stamina is starting to come into play. And we're going to talk about that. They gave the littlest hints of foreshadowing that I'm like, okay, that means that maybe possibly next episode we're going to get some runs on the board. But based on the preview, I don't want to be spoiled, so don't tell me. I'm just hypothetically putting this out there in the air. I don't think that Sawamura gets benched in this game. I think he pitches the whole time, but I don't remember if he does or not. Maybe the last inning they give it to Furuya, but I really want Sawamura to pitch an entire game. Only if for the fact to show that he can and to stand on par with May. Because May would pitch a whole game. And May would be like, of course I can pitch a whole game. What are you talking about? Who else is going to pitch? And meanwhile, the guy I call the redheaded sluts out there being like, I could. And he's like, no. As he puts his crown back on his head. May would be like, no, absolutely not. So I would like to see Sawamura pitch all of the semifinal game so that when he goes in, May knows that he's capable of it, that he can do it. But do we consider that like running Sawamura into the ground instead of letting him save up some of his strength to go up against May, presumably in the final if they get there? That remains to be seen. So I don't know. The preview makes it seem like Furuya is going to come into the game, but I don't know. I don't remember, and I don't want to be spoiled. So we'll just have to wait and see. But regardless, this is the recap I wanted. 52 seconds. That's enough. Minute recap. That's all you need. That's all you need. Shimayama in the last episode got on to me. They're like, this is a kid's show. And I'm like, is it? So, and also, let's not make these TikTok generation kids. Their memory is pretty damn good. They can remember. If I can remember stuff that happened episode to episode, so can these little 10-year-olds. They can do it too. Let's not baby them. Hold them to a higher standard. It's my rant about the TikTok generation. I can't help it that they have the brains of goldfish. Make them remember. But anyway, so we get into this episode. We start at the top of the bottom of the fourth, and Ichidai has scored their one run, and we have Miyuki versus Amahisa, High Voltage. I think of the AC/DC song every time. There's a lot to talk about with this episode. First of all, I really like the communication between Takami and Amahisa. I think they make a good battery. They're not shippable. I don't ship Takami and Amahisa. Takami is very much just like, Takami gives me the vibes of, I'm Amahisa's manager and I'm showing him how to do things, but we're not like, it's not that type of office relationship. Here's the thing. Whenever I ship 2 male characters in my series, people on the channel, they're like, you'd ship any 2 male characters. And I'm like, no. They have to have chemistry. They have to have shippable chemistry. Does Takami and Amahisa have shippable chemistry? No. I would argue no. They very much give off the vibes of, I'm your friend helping you do this task. But there is not shipping vibes between the two of them. I'm sorry, I don't see it. Now, I'm not going to diss anybody that does see it. Like, all ships are valid. But I just don't see it. So, they're just a ship. They're not even just a ship. They're just a battery to me. But Miyuki and Sawamura, yes. Koshu and Sawamura, Chris and Sawamura. Sawamura is like, got his own harem started, right? Of catchers, but anyway, Miyuki, I'm really proud of him this episode. He's also grown a lot. Like, the way the animators, like when they did that flashback of him and Yuki, I was like, damn, Miyuki looks so much younger there and so much more carefree. He definitely like looks like he has matured in the year from second year to third year. Like, it's very apparent. Like, even the way TJ draws him, he just looks more mature. Man, Amahisa looked great this episode. He looks so fiery. It's so hard because I want to root for Amahisa, and rooting for Amahisa makes me root for Ichidai. But I want our boys from Seidou to win, so it's hard, right? When you're rooting for two teams. Also, Miyuki with his little leg kicked up in the air, like you do. I guess that's a full body shot, but it's not in detail like the manga. I like how I looked over to Haruichi like, are you going to try to run? And Haruichi's like, bitch, what? Do I look like Mochi to you? Mm-hmm. But Miyuki, I love it. I love the way he looks. And the fire and the golden glow in Amahisa's eyes. He looked great throughout this. And then, that shot there where Miyuki hit it and it went down, that was, that foul ball. He threw down the gauntlet and he hit it. That shot, I remember that from the manga. I remember that shot of Amahisa being like, well, that's the vibes. I remember that from the manga. That's such a good shot of him. How expressive he gets. And this is like a lover spat, like two guys fighting over one guy, and Sawamura's in the wings like, what? Who, me? What are we talking about? Yeah, Miyuki looks great. You can sense the rivalry between these two without it even needing to be said. Yeah. So good. And the thing is, like, Amahisa's trying to get around Miyuki and toying with the idea of, I could walk him, but then bases are loaded. And do I really want to attempt that when we're in the lead? Like, that would be a very dumb move. That would be a very dumb thing to do. I've seen people walk batters like that, but Amahisa's not playing that game. And God, the fire in his eyes, it's so good. I love how they make his eyes look in this. He's like, sometimes, I like instead of shit happens, it's hits happen. Sometimes hits happen, but the walk is my screw up. Yeah, I like that mentality. He's like, you know what? I throw a ball, they manage to scrape it. That happens. But he's like, but if somebody gets walked, that is on me. That is all my fault in my pitching, because that means that I was just throwing balls. And he's like, that's not how we do. So I like that he takes that responsibility, which is very similar to, Sawamura in previous games. But here in this game, Sawamura is like, I don't need to take responsibility because I'm not allowing any errors. So there's a little bit of a difference there. And Miyuki notices, he's like, okay, he looks kind of flustered and strained, so I'm going to take advantage of that. And then we get down to this. Now, normally, this would be a very big piece of foreshadowing. I've got this tendency to blow it when the chips are down. So Amahisa sets up in this scene this concept that whenever things are dire and we're losing, I tend to fall apart. Like, I can't make up the difference once we fall behind. But you know, now you're running into the problem of you're not behind, but you're afraid you're going to get behind, because if you get behind, it's going to like cause your inner saboteur to come out. So he's like, I'm scared. He's like, I'm feeling kind of scared. Like, I love our poet genius prodigy pitcher, our poet prodigy pitcher being scared and showing this vulnerability to his teammate. He's like, I'm not chickening out, but I'm really hyped, but there's a lot of pressure. And I like that Manaka is like, look, of course there's pressure. He's like, I feel that way before every match. And Amahisa's like, really? Other people are having this feeling too? And it's like, yeah, no shit, my dude. I can't remember. Was Manaka a pitcher? I'm going to look that up real quick. Was Ichidai Manaka, was he a pitcher? He was the ace. Yeah. Oh my God, he was the ace. Wow. I forgot that he was the ace. I have this theory that if you're a pitcher, you cannot be shipped with another pitcher. Unless, I guess, you're verse or something. You could do that. But, so I don't know if that affects my Tamba Manaka ship. Maybe not. Maybe not. But yeah, Manaka's like, you could lead the team to victory. Or you could put all their efforts to waste. That is the pressure of a pitcher. That's the weight of their burden. I feel like what makes Furuya such a good pitcher in a sense is that Furuya isn't caring about that. Don't get me wrong. I think Furuya cares about his team, and I think he wants them to win. But I think that Furuya is more focused on himself sometimes than he's more focused on his own personal gains than worrying about letting down the team. And that's a different thing. There's a difference between not worrying about the team and not being concerned about letting them down. There's a difference there. It's a subtle difference, but I feel like Furuya is that difference. And I feel like Furuya is more concerned about himself and his own pitching ability and how it affects him. And he wants to make sure he does a good job for the team, but he's not worried about letting them down because he knows, kind of like Sawamura knows, that the team is going to be able to handle and make it their own. Yep, you finally become a true member of the Ichidai team. That's so sweet. You're feeling their weight on your shoulders. I wanted to talk about that. So I want to go back to that. I feel like between Ichidai, Inashiro, and Seidou, there's an interesting kind of difference between all three of them. Because they're kind of like our top teams at this point in the semifinals. That fourth team, they don't matter. They're just fodder for Ichidai. Sorry, no shade to that team, but like, whatever. But if you look at Seidou versus Inashiro versus Ichidai, and the way that they use their pitchers, there is a pretty staunch difference in the team dynamics. So like with Seidou, you have Furuya and Nori and Sawamura, and technically Asada, but he's not the top 20. So you have them, and even though there is a lot of weight on their shoulders, as long as they know and their teammates know on the rest of the field that they're in sync with one another, they know Sawamura understands if I mess up, my teammates have my back, and the team knows that Sawamura is going to do his best to not let it come to that, and that's where his pressure kind of is. And it's the same with Furuya, it's the same with Nori, but they have that rotation, and it kind of gives them like a cushion built in and some strength. With Inashiro, Mei is never worried. And the thing is, the team is never worried. The teammates are all so strong that as a whole, as a group, they are so strong that Mei has no reason to fear them messing up, and they have no reason to fear Mei messing up. And it's kind of like the ultimate balance as far as team goes, right? Which is crazy to think about because it's one pitcher and the rest of the team, whereas Seidou is a lot like Inashiro, but they have three pitchers and the rest of the team. Ichidai is a little bit different, and I would say at a disadvantage compared to Inashiro and Seidou. Inashiro and Seidou always have felt to me like a obvious eventual final match because they're so similar in terms of like the balance they have between pitcher and teammates. With Ichidai kind of suffers from the same problem that Yakushi does. Like, granted, Yakushi has Raichi as its like fourth hole, and Ichidai has Hoshida as its fourth hole. And sure, they have batters that are good besides just Hoshida and besides just Raichi, but they don't really have the same balance that Seidou and Inashiro does in terms of their entire roster. Or if they do, the show doesn't give us that context. So the way that it's presented is that Ichidai is relying a lot on Amahisa's pitching. Now, granted, Amahisa's relying on them to be batters, but it doesn't ever feel... It feels like Ichidai's fielding, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Ichidai's fielding is not as strong as Seidou and Inashiro's. They have strong batters, and they have a strong pitcher, but once you get on the field for defense, they're not as strong. They're really relying upon Amahisa to do his job as a pitcher, and if he messes up, then it kind of gets wide open. Whereas with Seidou, if Sawamura or Furuya or Nori mess up, your fielders are going to make up the difference and you're going to be fine. Same with Inashiro. If Mei, God forbid, if Mei makes a mistake and messes up, then the fielders are going to have it and they're going to be fine. So I think that's an interesting difference because that changes the way that pressure is put upon you. I feel like it helps Sawamura and Furuya, Nori, and Mei to not have as much pressure because they know that there's going to be such balance on the field. And yeah, Amahisa just wants to go with these guys to Koshin. Let's be real, though. Do we think that Amahisa could battle against Mei? I think that Amahisa, he's a poet, and he's drawn to earnest romanticism, and Sawamura is a shoujo reading man who is romantic, damn it. And so Amahisa's drawn to him. Mei is not. Mei is the king. He has no time for peasants, but he has no time for romantic theatrics. Mei's like, let's just throw down the gauntlet and go. And to Amahisa, would he find that exciting? No, he'd probably find Mei arrogant. Would Mei find Ichidai and Amahisa exciting? No, because he's seen Amahisa and what he's done, and he's not impressed. I think that Mei wants to battle out. Mei just wants to battle Seidou so he can be with Miyuki again. Let's just call a spade a spade. He just wants to be next to Miyuki again because he's his ex. That's literally it. But I don't think that I'm excited. Let's just say I'm excited to hear Mei's thoughts on Sawamura. Right? I think Mei respects Furuya to an extent, but he doesn't think much of Sawamura at the moment, and he's very concerned and confused why Miyuki's so adamant about being in a battery with him. But yeah, so Miyuki steps up, gets it, but damn this play! Damn this play! Catching that ball, Hoshida, freaking Shida, catching that ball is absolutely wild. He caught Miyuki's ball and then threw it and managed, and giving it to Amahisa. Like, the thing on the cake is, like, Amahisa definitely got on the base before Miyuki, but the fact of Amahisa getting Miyuki out, like, at this point, Mochi and Miyuki are putting out a hit on Amahisa as we speak. Like, they are putting out a Mafia Don hit on Amahisa after he's gotten both of them out. Oh my god, and meanwhile Sawamura's like, well, he's kind of a really cool guy, right? And Miyuki and Mochi are like, what are you talking about? And I kind of love this moment. I mean, I don't like Miyuki getting out by him. I think it's hella impressive. It's hella impressive, the 3-6-1 double play. Hella impressive indeed. But in this moment, I kind of feel like Sawamura steps up and goes, oh, like, Amahisa is impressive as a pitcher. He's not just throwing the ball and relying on his team to get the job done. He'll go and do it himself if he has to, if the moment arises. And I feel like Sawamura, even though, I'm sure Sawamura was mad that Miyuki got out, he was like, damn, okay, game, I see you. And I feel like a lot of what Amahisa talks about in this episode is Sawamura elevating his game and Sawamura making him work harder. And I think this is the one moment where Amahisa makes Sawamura realize, oh, I gotta work harder too. I gotta match that. And it's like, it's game recognizing game and making each other better. And I freaking love it. Hell yeah, indeed. Man, both Miyuki and Mochi have had the same expression now. It sucks to be them. It sucks to be them indeed. Nope. Nice cover. Amahisa howls at first. And Sawamura's like, okay, I gotta match this now. I've got to keep up with this. Okay, we can do this. Like, feeling that pressure as an ace to be able to keep up with that. Meanwhile, Sanada looks like a divorced dad forced to go to his kid's game. Who's just dropped off his kid with his spouse. Yeah. Yep, runner on third, 2 outs. I feel for Sanada because Sonata's like, it should have been us, but maybe he's... we don't get a whole lot out of Sanada at this point, but we're going to get a little bit of a monologue with him here in a second. We just got to get to it. But man, Amahisa, my dude, 3 outs. And the manager's like, yes, my boys. So, in the face, Seidou's lineup is scoreless again in the 4th. Poor Zono. I feel for Zono. Now, they bring up Zono's injury, which he got right before the game, but then later he gets on first. So he's okay. He's all right. He's just got to get through it, you know? I'll do what I have to. Well, that's setting up stuff as a fighter in the match. And Miyuki doesn't let it bother him. He doesn't get too mad that Amahisa got him out, you know. He just tells Sawamura, he's like, don't get thrown off. Hold out a little bit longer. And I always felt like in this moment here, I always thought Miyuki was kind of like maybe underestimating Sawamura because he's like, you just got to hold out a little bit longer. Like hold out till we're ready to switch in Furuya. And Sawamura is like, hey, it's just the halfway point. We're just going to shake it off and go. Let's go. Like, Sawamura is not ready to quit at all. Like, he's only had 38 pitches. Y'all are acting like he's about to, like, go in the grave. He only had 38 pitches. He's fine. He's like, it will be okay. Our sunshine boy. I love that shot of him. He looks so good there. So, yeah, he's pitched 4 innings, 38 pitches, 2 hits and no walks. It's fine. So, he felt the pressure, and then Takami, he got behind the count with the catcher. And so, but Haruichi got him out. That part's fine. Show him getting him out. It's fine. Then Amahisa gets up, and Miyamoto get up, and they both get out, and that's 3. So, yeah. Good for Sawamura. Yep, just 3 up, 3 down. Quit being worried about our sunshine boy. He's pitching an amazing game. He's doing great. And the team got confidence from that, and we went into the bottom of the 5th. And here's the thing. What I love about Amahisa is that he doesn't get aggravated when his opponents do better. It kind of gives him the Goku mentality where he's like, man, this guy's really good. I've got to match that. I've got to fight just as hard. Okay. I feel like that's a sign of a good competitor when you have good competition and it makes you better. Like, I coach a team and I tell our team that, like, we go to some hard tournaments and the first time we go, we may not do as well. And the students are like, oh man, that was really hard. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're not going to grow unless you face tough competition. I could take you to a tournament with no competition and you could stomp the floor, but you're not going to get any better doing that. And, like, what's the fun? Where's the competitive spirit if it's easy? Like, you need to do something that's challenging and difficult. And this is kind of like that. It's great. They're keeping their eye on the ball and swinging late. Let's go, my boys. So, yeah. And Ami says, like, getting that run was huge for us. That guy's really something. I love he looks at Sawamura and then has that expression like, okay, Mochi, Miyuki, I can see why you'd be concerned. I could see why you would be concerned about Sawamura getting swept up by this poetic pitcher. That's a really good... They did so many good shots of him in this episode. He looked fantastic. So, yeah. He's like, we're on opposite sides. What does he say there? But we can motivate and improve each other. That, honestly, being Amahisa's mentality is really awesome that he views opponents as ways to motivate and improve. And you could look at it as Amahisa saying that he's using Sawamura to make himself better. You could look at it in a negative angle if you want to. But I kind of like to look at it as him saying, come on, let's just get better and better, you and I. Like the Goku versus Vegeta mentality from Dragon Ball Z. I like that better. I like that. I don't feel like... It's also interesting because Ichidai with Amahisa's, like, wants strong competition to make himself better, to make himself a better player, to rise higher and higher through the ranks. Then you have Sawamura, who kind of like Amahisa views competition the same way. He's kind of like the character Kagami from Kuroko's Basketball, where he wants tough competition because it'll make him stronger. I would argue that Amahisa and Sawamura, they get along so well because they both have a similar pitching mentality, especially with competition. May doesn't view it like that. May is like, I'm the best, and I'm going to take you down because you're peasants. Like, it's not this whole like, oh, we're motivating and improving each other. May's like, what improvement? I'm perfect. Like, already, you know? But yeah, that's how I felt. And then we come back to Sanada. Sanada, my love. So I think it was Nicholas said Sanada ages like a fine wine. Oh, he would. He would. So yeah, bottom of the fifth. Kataoka's looking great. And they're trying just to get around Amahisa's pitch. Here's the thing, too. It's going to come down to the point where somebody's going to slip up. Amahisa's going to slip up, or Sawamura is. And Seidou has the advantage that when we end this episode, we're already in the bottom of the seventh. And so if Sawamura needs to be swapped out, they have an option that can still fight and do very well. Amahisa does not have that. And unfortunately, Amahisa, if he's out, they really don't have a pitcher that's going to be nearly to the same standard. So he's got to pitch through it. And we're going to talk about that when we get to May. But yeah, this part here towards the middle of the episode, I felt like they rushed it a little bit. Like at first, Tojo getting on base, and then like Kanemaru getting on second, or Kanemaru got to the plate, and then that's a good shot of Amahisa carrying the team on his shoulders. And he's like, I like that he's like, I don't want to have the regrets I did in that last game. I don't want that. I want to go in and go even higher. That's such a good shot of him. Damn, that's a good shot of him. They did so good. Yes. And then he's like even higher, and they get Kanemaru and then get Sawamura out. Yep, to what lies beyond. That's a great shot. But I'm like, whenever they started to rush through the plays, I was like, that is foreshadowing to me that nothing crazy is going to happen in that inning, because otherwise, if it was, you'd want to set it up a little bit more, right? You'd want to set that up if something was about to happen. And since they don't do that, I was like, okay, well, nothing's going to happen in this inning because they're just like rolling through them. But yeah, so then we get to the top of the sixth. Oh, damn, he looks so good. He looks so good. And then like he looks at Sawamura, and Sawamura's like, what do you want from me? And that's like that expression, and then he's like, Sawamura, take me to even greater heights. I remember reading the manga and thinking that it was a little bit arrogant of Amahisa to be like, I'm going to use you to make myself better, when I'm like, dude, you're only leading by 1. If you were leading by like 6, I think you could have said that, but I'm like, you really have no room for error at this point. So should you be saying that about Sawamura? I don't know. But yeah, they get to the 6th, and technically Amahisa's had a worse run as a pitcher than Sawamura so far. So it is indeed a pitcher's duel, and now it's going to be determined by stamina and how they do the relief pitchers. And Kataoka looking like a fine man right there, being like, oh, we'll be ready. Yeah, because honestly, they say it's all up to timing, but Ichidai don't got any timing with that. They just have Amahisa. So yeah, they managed to get one over the center, and then Hoshida comes up. I feel like Hoshida might be focusing a little too much on his bat at this point. Maybe he's trying to compensate, maybe. And that's a great shot there. Like this shot here, look at that. Look at our boys. Look at them in sync. Look at that between them. Trying to figure out, what do we do? How do we take Hoshida out? How do we make this work? What worked on him last time? What'll work on him this time? I like that they were both like, okay, we got this. You and I, we got this. I love that they're on the same page. Hoshida. And Sawamura's like, I love this saying, it doesn't matter the batter, I just have to give it my best. I felt in that moment, I wanted to talk about how him and Raichi are kind of similar in that vein, because Raichi's like, he memorizes the pitchers, and Raichi's like, it doesn't matter what pitcher I'm up against, I'm going to bat and hit the ball all the same. And Sawamura, again, these episodes are just showing us why Raichi, Amahisa, and Sawamura are such good friends, because they're all three in this like triad of similar thinking, and it just works out really well. Works out really well for them. I don't ship any of the three of them together, but it works out really good. Yeah. And like, it's like, Haru, go! Like, Haru's a freaking Pokemon. Like, go, Haru! Use catch! Oh, boys. I'm glad Zono caught that one. Yeah, this is the running I was talking about, like, real quick. Dee, 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 dee. It's fine. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's not over. Not even close. And Amahisa is like, well, good. A broken bat would have been broken into. Yeah, Hoshida, the fact that some of these high school kids do not need wooden bats because they'll break them is pretty insane. So yeah, the way that battery uses inside pitches is amazing. Oh, look at them. Bumping elbow, look, bumping fists. It's not as good as the one at the end of the episode, but I also think that, again, talking about differences, and again, Mei is Miyuki's ex, so he has reasons why he doesn't think this, but Amahisa's such a great guy, because he's even saying, like, damn, he's like, Sawamura and Miyuki, they're such a good battery. Look at the way they use them inside pitches. That's amazing. Mei would never say that. Mei would never concede that another battery is good. He'd be like, well, they're up to par, I suppose. But he would never say that Miyuki and Sawamura were an amazing battery. There's no way. No. So bottom of the sixth, this was the part that I was like, okay, nothing is going to happen in this inning, because I was kind of mad they just had Kuromochi come up and immediately, like, cut past him, because they've been building up, like, Miyuki coming out and having a moment, which maybe they'll do that next episode. But yeah. And Kaminado went down easily, and then Shirasu put one in the shallow field and got on base. But here's the thing. When he got on first, I was like, the fact that they didn't show us Shirasu getting on first, I was like, okay, well then Miyuki's probably going to get out, because otherwise they would have wanted to build up the tension of, okay, Shirasu got on first. We have a chance to score. Okay, Miyuki. And maybe they did in the manga, and I just don't remember it. But then Miyuki comes back up. We've gone through the rotation. Oh, he looks so good there. And then we get the shot of him. Also, Miyuki he looks so young here as his second year. He looks so young there. Even the way that Sakurai made him sound, he looks so young. I was like, oh. About how much you can focus on. It's about how much you can focus on each individual pitch and the cheers of your team that will give you strength. Nice. I love that. Labels mean nothing. It's about what you take with that energy in the moment. Him and Amahisa, like, their rivalry is being built up so beautifully in this. I love it. Also, I like the shots that to be honest, I like that they did the different shots of, like, the perspective of him throwing the ball and Takami catching it. That was really well done in this. I liked that. He's like, you're not going to swing, huh? So here we go. Oh, and Miyuki, like, let it out. And for a brief moment, I was with Sawamura. For a brief moment, he hit it out of the field. Amahisa was like, well, shit. Amahisa has that same face every single time. And for a moment, I was Sawamura being like, is this it? Because you had Shirasu on base. And I was like, are they going to score off of this? Is this going to happen? Is this the moment? But at the very end, Miyagawa catches it for a third out. Damn. Ah, it's such a good shot of Amahisa yet again. Yet again. Damn. That's my thing. I was just like, okay. Okay. So I don't want to give Ichidai, I don't want to not give Ichidai credit, because I do believe Ichidai is good at, here's the thing, they are really good in the outfield. They are really good on defense. They are. They're just not, maybe it's just because we don't focus enough on them, but they're not as memorable to me compared to Seidou and Inashiro. But still, and Sawamura's like, okay, I got to keep going. I don't consider those bags under his eyes, but he is like, we're getting into the seventh. So now it's time. And this was the part that I wanted to see more of, because Miyuki, you can tell Miyuki's pissed. You can tell Miyuki is mad. You can tell Miyuki is like, he's like, damn it, I hit it it went out to center field. I had him. And then they caught it. Like, you can tell he is frustrated. And then Sawamura, like, looking out there towards him. And in that moment, I wanted Sawamura to say something to him. I wanted him to say something to him. But instead, he's like he feels what his captain, his catcher is feeling. And he's like, all right, yep, I'm right there with it. And meanwhile, then they focus in on Koshu. And Koshu is like the audience surrogate, the observer, where he's thinking, he just feels the pressure being put on Sawamura in that moment. Here's the thing, little hot take here. Miyuki, I feel like Miyuki and Koshu both observe Sawamura in very different ways. I feel like because Miyuki is the senpai to Sawamura, he's observant of Sawamura, but there's a trust there where feels like he doesn't have to like hyper analyze Sawamura. He'll get it. He's like, Sawamura's going to get it. And I feel like Miyuki also likes kind of the mystery of Sawamura. He doesn't know what he's going to get. And he likes discovering new sides of Sawamura. And again, I'm feeding the ship. Don't worry. But then with Koshu, because Sawamura is the senpai to Koshu is like hyper observant and watching his every move and seeing how he reacts to things. And, oh, this is how you do this. Oh, this is how you do that. And he knows Sawamura on a different level than Miyuki. Not necessarily more than Miyuki, but on a different level and in a different way. And all I'm saying is that the ships are all valid. And I can see why people would have, like, they're two totally different dynamics. And I kind of love them. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Kosei, after the fact, is like, yeah, I figured that he would do that, so I decided to, like, add a little bit of this to it, a little cut of it, because I knew he was going to go for it, so that could have been clutch as hell, right? Like, just, God. And then, whenever the coach is like, you're a god with that pitch, and he's like, oh, me? Oh, my God. Like, I love that. Good job, Amahisa. Good job, my boy. Who's this old man? This old man that's in the corner. Who be him? Who is he? Do we ever find out? Is he just a manager? God mode. And now it's our turn. Mm-hmm. Like these middle-aged guys talking about baseball up here. So yeah, and then literally Sanada has dropped off his child to go with his mom as he's there watching the game. I can't wait to see Amahisa in the pros. Or maybe Sawamura's had the actual better pitches. That person's on game. Yeah. It's crazy that even with Sawamura pitching such a good game, I guess because Amahisa is, a third year, that they're like, seeing him in the pros. Sanada feels inadequate in this moment because Sanada feels like he didn't do enough as pitcher to help his team. They're so excited. He's like, the baseball stadium is packed. And you can see him just standing there being like, nothing, no regrets. Nothing left untried. You left it all on the field. After the match, that's what I thought. So what am I doing here? Basically, Sanada's like, I thought I'd have no regrets. I thought it was fine. We gave it our all, whatever. But now he's second guessing. And I interpret it. I know that Todoroki's worried that Sanada's going to quit baseball. I interpret it as Sanada feels like he has unfinished business. And he's not going to quit playing baseball because he wants to finish what he started and have that closure with the sport. And he's not had it yet with his final year of baseball. So that's my thought anyway. And then we cut to Inashiro, Inashiro, we have this first year pitcher who I was convinced in the manga that this kid was a demon. And then he just turns out to be a first year for Inashiro. And then you have the captain. They are just like, they are doing like Itsuki erasure at this point because they show Itsuki here, but they don't give him any lines. They don't let Itsuki have any moments with Mei. I'm like, quit denying us Itsuki, please. Ichidai's holding the 1-run lead. It literally feels like Amahisa turned a corner after the match with Yakushi. Amahisa's not letting them score. And then the captain is like, yeah, he shut down Miyuki in his first 3 at-bats. If Ichidai gets another run, it's probably over. And to be fair with him, he's probably right. If they did get another run, it probably would have been over. But I'm also like, have some faith in Seidou, mother trucker. This is why I don't want to spoil the rest of the series, but, this is why you get in these pickles, because you assume too much. And then May's like, pitching against Amahisa might be fun, too. And then they cut to Itsuki looking over. I'm like, May, you bitch, you know that May's like, pitching against him could be fun. I mean, not much of a challenge, but could be fun. Here's the thing. The way he says that, he's like, pitching against Amahisa would be fun. Meaning that May is fully confident that if Ichidai wins, May's going to mop the floor with him. He's like, I'll be fine. I can handle him. He's nothing. But they're like, are you sure, May? May wants to go up against Sawamura and Seidou. He wants a rematch. Mm-hmm. And they're like, are you mad? And he's like, no, I'm not mad. May wants to play against Seidou. He really does. He really, really does. So yeah, and then we get back to Takami. 2 outs, bases are empty. Amahisa just looks like a puppy that's like, I want to come up against you again. I want to come up against you again. Let's go, let's go, let's go. He just looks like a freaking puppy dog in this moment. The manager for Ichidai is back to, I'm holding you all at gunpoint. If you don't do what I want you to do. Yep. He's remained this strong. This is Sawamura's best game all summer. I will agree with Ochiai on that. I don't want to agree with Ochiai on that, but I will admit that he's correct. He's still strong even in the 7th. Takami can get it. I'm just saying. Takami can get it. Yeah, and then Sawamura. So, like, he's pitching inside even more. And Miyuki's like, all right, get this guy out. Let's do it. Even with pitching this good, if I lose, it's over. Yeah. Sawamura, he's like, if the team can't rely upon me, I don't want to be the reason why we can't make it to Koshin. And then he's like, this team, my senpai summer will be over. And he's like, I'm not going to let it end here. Love that for him. Yep. Good. And then he gets out. Yeah. I love it. 3 outs and change. I love Nori sitting there like, yes, we're 1 step closer. We're getting there. Yep, at the 3 and the 7, top of the 7th, the manager's like, damn it. Amazing. Amazing. When the manager points out that your opponent is amazing, that's when you know you're getting in there. He's keeping his pitch count down, and he's pitching all out, and he's been doing it since the 1st inning. As if to rally the team by himself. That's a really cool distinction between Amahisa and Sawamura as well. And a connection of Sawamura to May. Honestly, again, I love comparing Amahisa and Sawamura and May together because they're so different, but they're also kind of similar. Amahisa uses a lot of the team to hype him up. And in turn, he returns it in kind, where he's like, thanks, team, for you rallying me and motivating me. Now I'm going to give it back to you, right? Because that's what you deserve. That's kind of how he goes. But Sawamura's like, hey, team, I'm this big ball of sunshine. Get motivated by me and then help me. It's kind of the reverse. And May is like, I am the king. I am your leader. I'll get it done. So rally behind me. So it's kind of like what Sawamura does, but in a different context. It's so fascinating. I love it. I love it so much. And then Miyuki's like, that's right. Nice pitching. And he's like, I just did what you asked me to. Ah! And in that moment, Katioka went, oh, that's what they've been talking about. Katioka looks like he just connected the dots in that moment and realized that these two have a thing for one another. I feel like Katioka's stance and expression looks like he just figured it out. Like, that's what Koshi was going on about the other day. Oh my God, I just realized. Yep. But I love that. Also, the fact that May and Sawamura are similar in that respect. And the fact that Miyuki's like, that's just how he is, all lovingly as he fist bumps Sawamura. And it's a trait that also May shares, but in a different context. It doesn't fuel my love triangle shipping at all. Not at all. That's such a good shot. It is unfortunately not practical for the thumbnail, but it's an amazing shot. It's probably my favorite shot of the episode. That's who you are, isn't it? Yes, it is. You damn right it is. Now we have to rise to your standard. And I feel like Mei does that with Inashiro. Inashiro rises to the standard to meet Mei in some respects, but they each all have their own individual pride, so it's a little bit different. Ichidai also, it's true, you could say Ichidai rises to Amahisa's standards. You could argue that, but I feel like Amahisa also in kind tries to like keep up with them as well with his team too. So I like that. I like that little dynamic there. I really thought Sawamura was going to say something to Mochi. I really thought he was. Or to Nori, I mean. I really thought that Sawamura was going to say something to Nori in that moment, but he doesn't. And so I'm a little bit surprised. Meanwhile, while Sawamura is about to be showing off his hard work over working out this summer, Katioka reveals what they're going to do. They're like, look, they're going to get soft. We're going to put pressure on them so they can't slip up. He's like, here in the second half, we're going to see more easy pitches. We're going to keep that pressure going. We're going to get them to give us some slack. Katioka looks amazing here, by the way. Looks amazing. I was like, I just see the fire in his eyes in that moment. Don't let them get by you. We've been focused on how to deal with excellent pitching since spring. I was wondering if he's like, show me what you've been working on. Well, they showed us what Sawamura's been working on. That's for damn sure. Our boy went from being a little string bean back in season 1, a little string bean, to showing us his progress. Our boy has been working out. And I'm sorry. I mean, this is very fan servicey for sure. As he's like sitting there, like he's sweating and like, oh my God, I've like, sweat through this shirt. And then Koshu being like, how many undershirts you gone through now? I'm like, I don't know how many, Koshu. How much you've been looking, Koshu? This is like a damn fanfic. This is just, I love me some multi-shipping in sports anime because it's just ripe for the picking. The low-hanging fruit is, Miyuki's going to be gone next year off doing his pro training. The Koshu Sawamura battery, the Koshu Sawamura fling. Here we go. It's the Brazilian fling arc. This moment I was like, okay, Koshu, come on, Koshu. I also thought there was going to be a water bottle moment in this scene, but I guess there wasn't. That's going to be for later. And he's like, how many you got left? And Sawamura's like, what, you counting? Our boy, he's like, I brought plenty. He's like, lots of tanks too. I'm going to be able to go into late innings. It's hot out there and it's going to help me feel fresh. That broad back, son. Okay, damn. All right, Miyuki, why aren't you back here? Why are you letting Koshu be back here? Why are you letting Koshu see this? Are you kidding? Are you letting this happen? And I like that Koshu is very diligent and watchful over Sawamura. Miyuki's a little Tanuki-ish in the fact that Miyuki's like, he'll be fine. He's got this. Here's the thing. Miyuki's always had that mentality of, I'm sure everything's under control until it's not. And then when it's not, Miyuki's like trying to do damage control and being like, well, what do I do? How do I fix this? At least that's how the first 2 seasons ran when Sawamura was really going through some crises. Koshu, I don't think Koshu would have let that happen on his watch. Koshu is watching Sawamura so carefully that he's like, are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you making sure that this and this okay? Are you all right? Is everything fine? There is kind of like a Chris-like tenacity to Koshu. I really wish we could have seen more of Koshu and Chris meeting each other and talking, because I think there's some similarity there to them. And I feel like Koshu, he talks about, against Seiho, that Sawamura went all out, but he lost control towards the late innings. And Koshu worries that's a really good shot of Sawamura, by the way. He worries that that's going to happen this time around. And he's like, Furuya's warming up, but the fact that Nori can't pitch is putting more pressure on him. And Sawamura's like, hey, I'm going to be okay. And the moment that he says, I'm fine, and we look over and he's got like the ace number on, it's like, show. This team isn't finished yet. Oh! In that moment, I feel like Koshu just fell a little harder in that moment where he was like, okay. Miyuki matches Sawamura and challenges Sawamura, and that's why I love them as a ship. Sawamura has Koshu wrapped around his little finger. And it's so good. I love it. I love it too. I love it so much. But yeah. So Zono hits into center field. Hell yeah, indeed. I love as he's yelling. Hoshida's over there like, can you stop? So yeah. Yep. Nailed it. And then he got onto base. And Takami's like, did that drift a little high? So both Takami is noticing that something is happening that Mayuri or Miyuki and Kurmochi are noticing as well. They are both figuring out, they're like, once it starts drifting a little high, it's not breaking as it used to. That's where we can hit it and get our stride. And Zono's over here yelling like, this is our generation. We're not finished yet. And Hoshida's like, can you stop? Yeah. They could turn this into a comeback. And they're like, come on, Tojo, we're just getting started. And this is when they both say that cutter is tricky as long as it's low. But when it starts breaking high, when it starts drifting high, that's when it loses some of its break. And Takami's noticing that as well, so... And then we just zoom in on Miyuki's face, and it's foreshadowing central. There you go. So yeah, oh man. As far as the credits go, as far as the preview goes, I feel like the preview for next week did not give a lot away. Amahisa looks pissed, so there's that. Amahisa looks mad. Sawamura is like yelling, surprising no one. Furuya is like, hey, I can do this. Mochi is like there. Hoshida's there. And then Kawakami is warming up. So I don't know. Are they going to rotate Sawamura out next inning and put Furuya in? I don't know. I wanted Sawamura to pitch the whole game because I wanted him to be able to say to May that he could do it. Because May's whole thing is May being like, well, I can pitch the whole game and you can't. And I want that. I want that so badly. But what do we do? I can't remember. If you switch out someone to pitch, can you put them back in? Or is that not allowed? I don't remember. I know we talked about this in the manga. But I can't remember if we talked about it. Like, once you swap out a pitcher. Let me see that. Okay. And can you swap back in a pitcher in baseball? I don't know if it's going to tell me. Yeah. Can a pitcher, after pitching an inning and switching? They said yes, with the caveats. When the pitcher moves to another defensive position, you lose something. You have to obey the 3-batter minimum. A player can only be removed from the mound once per inning. Okay. There might be more to that, so if y'all know more to that, let me know, but I'm curious, so... Anyway, this was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I'm very excited for next week because we're already at the 7th inning, so Seidou has to score at some point to at least tie up the game. It's been like the biggest tease. When is it going to happen? Is it going to be next week? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, I'm excited. I hope you all are as well, but I'm excited to hear your thoughts down below. I can't wait to hear your comments. Please make sure you like the video, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you want to see Ace of the Diamond on Tuesdays with me, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episode 10 of Ace of the Diamond Act 2, Season 2. Bye!